Okay, Dave, my first question, yeah. Can you share with the audience about your role and character in this film?
Tell you a little bit about Drax.
Yeah, role, character.
Um, well, I usually when I try to describe Drax, I think there's two things you need to know about Drax. He's he's very much a family man, and he's heartbroken over the loss of his wife and daughter. And two is that Drax is a very literal character, and he takes everything you say literally, and he, in turn, means everything that he says. So, I think those are the two things that you really need to know about Drax to understand the character.
How do you feel to work with James Gunn?
James was, he was incredible. I clicked with James right off the bat. I mean, first time I ever met him, he just made me feel like so at ease and so comfortable. And I was like, no pressure. It was that way, completely the whole way through filming. It was always just a lot of fun. It was kind of, no pressure, and it was. He had such a clear vision of what he wanted. He just made it really easy. So, and he just felt like you never felt like you were working for James, or he was your director per se. It just always kind of felt like he was more your buddy, and just we were kind of all in it together, working together.
Tell me more about Drax, the personality, costume, and makeup.
Well, the makeup generally took about 5.5 to 7 hours to put on and take off, and it was a lengthy process. But I had a 5-person makeup team, so it was okay. It wasn't too bad though. I mean, kind of got used to it, and they got it down to about 3 hours a day for application and an hour and a half for derig to take it all off. And as far as the character, I think. Drax he's pretty interesting because he's just such an emotional roller coaster. He's just kind of up and down and all over the place with this. He can literally go from, having a fit of laughter to being, in a fit of rage. I mean, like that fast. It's kind of he's a fun character to play with, and it makes him, I think, pretty interesting that he is so kind of up and down. And you just never know what you're going to get out of him.
Which part of the movie do you enjoy the most?
It's kind of hard to say. I mean. There's so many good moments in the movie. I mean, so many fun moments, so many dramatic moments, so great fight scenes, so many exciting moments. It's kind of hard to really narrow it down to one. I mean, it's really no. I mean, it would be hard to just narrow it down to one scene that I would say was my favorite. If I actually had, if I had to pick one, I would say it would be when Peter Quill kind of really bands us together as a group and gives us a pep talk. That we need to band. It's kind of that Braveheart speech, and we need to band together, to protect the galaxy. I think that would probably be kind of my favorite scene. And I didn't really do much more than sit there and look and pay attention and get sucked into the scene. But he was just, I mean, he really just felt like he brought it that day, man. He really showed his acting range, and it just kind of gave me goosebumps and made me emotional. So. And I think it will the audience as well. I think it's going to hit him hard, and it's really cool for Chris because he gets to show that he's not always the funny guy, because he has that side to him, but he also he can bring drama when he needs to, and he can bring you to tears when he wants to, because he's that talented.
What are some of the challenges you faced while acting in this movie?
Some of the challenges, I think the biggest challenge was. Just kind of stretching myself as an actor, as a performer, stretching my acting range, was bigger than any project that I'd ever done, and it required more emotion, that I'd ever had to perform. So I think that would be the biggest challenge.
What were some of the most awkward situations or scenes in this movie between you and the others?
I mean, there was one particularly for me awkward scene. It was really when it was kind of a scuffle between me and Joey, and it's just like everything in me tells me not to be rough with a woman. I was raised by a single mom, and it was just me and my mom and my sister growing up, and I just kind of wasn't raised that way. Never put my hands on a woman. I never would. I don't like intimidating women. I always purposely try to make myself standoffish and not be intimidating to women. But there was you know, a scene where I had to be a little rough with her, and I was just so uncomfortable. And she kept, I was like, "Come on, man, come on," like pushing me to be rougher. It was just, but just everything in my nature, it was just very awkward for me. It was uncomfortable.
What homework did you do to prepare for this movie?
It was weird, you know. My initial research on Drax was just, it was rough because there wasn't all that much, you know, to reference. There definitely wasn't. I found one video reference, and it was just from a Drax that was, you know, long gone. I mean, Drax has changed a lot over the years, and so it was really hard to do homework on Drax, and the Drax that was, you know, available in the comics, you know, beforehand, you know, wasn't the same Drax that was in the script. So it really, it was kind of one of those things where just, you know, we're kind of starting from scratch, you know, and so my homework was really kind of picking James's brain and kind of, you know, talking to him about the character and reading what was written in the script, and just kind of drawing from my own emotions, you know. So it wasn't, you know, a whole lot of homework, you know. It was kind of learning on the job.
Why is it important for you to come to Asia to promote this movie?
Well, you know, for me, you know, I mean, the personal thing is always going to be my connection with the Philippines, of course. So, but I always, you know, that was one of the cool things about being with the WWE. It was, you know, WWE is really good about traveling the world to make sure that we pay attention to the fans all over the world. You know, not just America where we're based, but I mean, we have such a worldwide audience. It's good to go and actually spend time with, you know, with the fans in different countries, and I mean, it just, for one, it feels good, but two, I think it's always, it shows people that you actually care about them. You know, you're not just taking them for granted. So I think in that sense, it's important. And for me, it's just kind of, I mean, it's a good time. You know, it's really good. I mean, yeah, I always tell people it changed the WWE changed my life in the best way, because I got to travel the world and get out and see what, you know, different cultures are like, different places, and, you know, not just be so in a box and on my own block in my own community, and it just gives you a different perspective of the world in general. So, you know, I think it's always a good thing and important, and you never separate yourself from the people who are watching the product, whether it be films or wrestling. It's always good to have that connection. So if you have to travel to do it, then just do it.
What was the most appealing to you when you agreed to play Drax?
Well, I think that, you know, the most appealing thing to me with the role was just that it was just a challenge. You know, it was by far the biggest role that I ever got, and it was, I mean, the most intense role I've ever gotten. It was just a stretch for me, and I knew it was something that I needed and that I wanted, because I wanted to actually be able to go and do a film where it was required for me to act. You know, not only act, but act next to some of the best actors in the world. You know, so I think, you know, that would be it.